Before I start with the reading, I just want to do a quick recap of where we're at. We have spent many weeks figuring out in reality what our problem is. Many of us thought that our addictions were our main problems, and we have come to realize that even though we can't get recovered if we don't stop drinking or using, we discovered that lack of power was our dilemma. We discovered that the power to live our lives was lacking. That for some reason we couldn't manage to live our own lives. So we used people, we used drugs, we used food, we used alcohol to be able to gain that power. You see, we have we have done great things and we have done horrible things using our self-will. You see, so I hope that this time powerlessness and unmanageability is evident in your lives. All of us are powerless over the substance. All of us are powerless over the drugs or the codependency or the food. But each of us are powerless over something else in our lives. What is that you've been trying to control all along that has driven you crazy? That hasn't been letting you live your best life in peace, in love, in harmony, in joy. So I hope that all of you guys by now understand that the more you try, the less you will achieve. Because we have come to realize that this is not about trying or doing. This is about recognizing, remembering, and letting go. Then after that, we admitted to our innermost selves that we were sick, that we were alcoholics or drug addicts. What does that mean? That means that no matter how much I tried to be like any other human being, I'm not. I'm different. I was built different. There's no shame in that. There's no need to hide behind trying to be something that you are not. Being an alcoholic and a drug addict, there's no shame in it. The doctor told us so, a few of them, Dr. Young, Dr. Selkworth. And they also said that we needed to have a total psychic change in order for us to have a meaningful life. So having realized that and understanding that our life is power, we have very little power over our lives. And the more we try, the more unmanageable our lives had become. Right? That feeling that we have all carried all along, the spiritual malady, which tells us that we're not enough, or that tells us that we're not worthy of love, or tells us that we are failures, whatever your spiritual malady is, we have tried desperately to fix that. We have thrown in money, we have thrown in families, we have thrown in relationships, we have thrown in drugs and alcohol, and we haven't been able to fill that void. So we lack power. Then last week we made a decision, and I hope that by now the decision for you is very clear. And I sincerely hope that you decided that God is everything. That you're going to give it a shot. And if you don't believe it, to act as if He is everything. Because if God is everything, everything that you have done in your life, it had to be done. There's no mistakes in God's universe, in God's world. There's no coincidences. There's only intention and purpose. So if God is everything, you had to do what you had to do in order to be here where you're at today. So that brings a lot of purpose and meaning into my life. I don't know about you guys, but into my life it brings a lot. All that shame goes away. All that self-loathing of all the mistakes that I made, that I have spent sleepless nights trying to figure out how can I turn back time. I'm pretty sure that all of us have a mistake that we have committed in our lives before that we would give an arm and a leg not to have done it. That's in the world of God is nothing. But if God is everything, you had to do what you had to do in order for you to be here. And everything is useful. Everything has purpose. So if that's a decision that you made last week, the decision that you're going to make today is going to be way easier. I'm going to be showing you a way that maybe you haven't heard in any other workshop before about the third step, but that's how I like to give it. And I hope, and I sincerely wish, that by explaining the third step the way that it was explained to me, it can finally click in your lives. So having said that, we arrived at the third step. The reading that we're going to do today, if you go to meetings, we hear every day. Every day. And we hear it, and a lot of us maybe know it by memory. But you see, today I had the wonderful opportunity to speak to a friend of mine that is here in this meeting. And it's very important for all of us to understand that knowledge is not enough. You can know the book in and out. You can know the lines in the book in and out. But it does not mean jack. What we're going to be reading today, I'm going to challenge you like I do every week on how it is you're doing this. What it is that you're willing to do to get this. How honestly do you talk to yourself really every day? So anyhow, before I start in the reading, I'm going to do the set-aside prayer like I do every week. And it goes something like this. It says, God, help me set aside everything I think I know for an open mind and a new experience. God, please help me see the truth about step 3. The benefits, the peace, the opportunity that it's behind my decision to turn my will and my life over to your care. You being my Father, you being my director, help me understand that everything that I need will be provided. Amen. Okay, guys, so let's start the reading. We're going to start reading How It Works, chapter 5. Turn your books to page 58. And this has to be very familiar reading to all of us. I'm going to be stopping a lot. And like I do every week, I'm going to challenge you with some questions. I hope I not offend anybody. I hope that they're truly helpful so you can ask them and answer them for yourself. Before I start, I need to apologize. I need to send you the homework for the third step. There's a reading that we have to do for 1 week. I will be sending that PDF after the meeting today. We're supposed to read whatever I'm going to be sending you today to 7 different people, 1 different people a day for 7 days. So from today until next time I see you, the homework is for you to read it to somebody else. Different every day. My experience, that's the only thing I have and the only thing that I want to share with you, that I can share with you. I read it to my son, to my daughter, to my wife, to my mother, to my brother. Why did I do that? Because it's incredibly important for me to understand who I am. If you don't feel the urge or the need, or you're ashamed or you're embarrassed, or you don't want to take him to the trouble of knowing what an alcoholic is, you don't have to do it. You can pick anybody you want. If you want to go to your meeting and read it to 7 different alcoholics, that's fine. I just found it extremely helpful to read it to my family because that opened a lot of conversations. They asked a lot of questions. Dad, do you really think like that? Dad, do you really feel like that? And it gave me a wonderful opportunity for me to tell them about the disease of alcoholism, what it is that I carry with me every day. So I'll be sending that PDF today. And I apologize again. I was supposed to send it to you last week, but I totally spaced that out. So expect it today in your WhatsApp group. So, okay, let's start reading. Chapter 5, How It Works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Thoroughly, please underline thoroughly. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Again, underline completely. What does thoroughly means for you? You see, it's incredibly funny how we take ownership of that program. It's incredibly funny and curious to me to hear people say I'm working my program. Because there's not such a thing as your program. There's only the program. The book is extremely specific. The book asks us and challenges us to do certain activities every day, thoroughly, in order for us to live a happy and joyful life. So I ask you to please ask yourself, how thorough have you been in your steps? Have you been half-assing it? Has your commitment to AA has been half-assed? Is this the most important activity in your day, or is it just something else that you do? And you're waiting for a miracle to occur in your life without doing the necessary steps to enable that miracle from becoming. So you see, this is the first paragraph. How thorough are you? And the next lines are going to talk to us about honesty. So let me continue. Or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. How do you give yourself to this simple program? How's your current agnosticism? How's your current practices of step 10 and 11 every day? Have you done all the amends that you came here years ago that you were supposed to do and you haven't done? And if you have never worked the steps, that's fine. You're going to have a chance to go out and clean up your past. But how about you, the one that has been here for a long time? Have you given yourself completely to the amend process? Have you done 5 steps in the past in which you have kept some secrets because you're too ashamed to share them? Do you still keep stuff to yourself? Do you still hide behind a mask? Or do you completely give yourself to this process? That's for you to answer. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. They are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. In my experience, I have worked with hundreds of men, hundreds of women, and I can tell you today that there's people that cannot be honest with themselves. Either the trauma and the pain is so large, or the victimhood that they have lived throughout her lives is so real that it's really hard for them to see past that. If you talk to them about truthful events, they get offended. You pinpoint something that you see and everybody can see about their character, they take it as an insult, not as feedback, constructive criticism, or an act of love. So how honest are you with your story? How honest are you with your story? Do you keep on lying to yourself? Because the pain is too large, too big to face. And if that's the case, you need to seek help. Because there's nothing that is going to keep you chained and incarcerated that keep on lying to yourself. The only thing that will give you true freedom, true joy, true authenticity is to speak the truth. Not to me, to you. The guy or the woman that looks at you every morning in that mirror is the only person you need to fall in love with. Not accept, fall in love with. Because that's all you got. How do you talk to that man? How do you talk to that woman? How much do you hide behind your story? How willing are you to look at the trauma and let your heart heal? This is a spiritual principle that it's a must. People that are dishonest would never recover. They're going to keep on failing, relapsing, living in a dry drunk constantly. So where are you at with that? Only you can answer that. How do you speak to the man in the mirror? How do you judge the man or the woman in the mirror? How in love are you with yourself? Or what it is that you are afraid to tell that man or that woman that looks back at you every morning in the mirror because it's too painful. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity again, to be honest. I believe that 90% of the alcoholics that I know fall in this category. We suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders. A lot of us do. That's what the bedevilments are all about. Not being able to control our emotional nature, to live in constant fear and depression and terror. How grave is that? But you see, there's hope for us if we're willing to be honest. And I think that most of the people that inhabit the meetings of AA, NA, CODA, all of that, fall in this category. And there's nothing wrong with it. We suffer from a disease, and that disease touches our emotions and touches our ideas, our brain, our intellect. Does this offend you? Or would you be able to have compassion for yourself and extend the courtesy of saying, yes, I am that. Yes, I have hope to recover that. I am not all that. I need help. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. Any lengths to get it. Any lengths to get it. If reading pages 84 to 88 is difficult for you, that's what any lengths means to you. If making a commitment to you, to yourself, to your life, to work with this, and on these steps with all you got, that's any length. If you own money, you're going to have to go back and pay it. If you own an apology, you're going to go back and make it. If you're afraid shitless of life, you're going to have to stand up and go out there and live your life. Are you willing to go to any lengths to get it? Are you willing to be totally bluntly honest in your fourth step? Not to keep anything behind. To write down all your secrets. To tell them to me if you're going to read your fifth step to me, or to whomever you're going to read it to. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to serve? Carly did great service for all of us. I couldn't attend. Carly showed up. How was it for all of you guys? You had a place to come. For what I understand, there was a wonderful share. I mean, they were saying, Erica, thank you, Erica. Erica needed that meeting. I wasn't in that meeting, but that's what I heard, and that's what I read in the comments. If any of you didn't volunteer to serve, that meeting would have never occurred. Same goes with all the meetings around the world. The same goes with your sponsorship, with service, with reaching out, with loving people. Practice love and tolerance of others is our code. Remember, we read that every morning, supposedly. So what's any lengths for you? If it's only going to a meeting a day, you have 24 hours in one day, and you want to change your life in 1 hour. The rest of the day, you're minding your own business, controlling your own life. What does any lengths mean to you? At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way. But we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, We beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Think about what it says. Your old ideas, your old philosophies, your old values, your old self. What you think is right most likely hasn't been right for you in your life. If all your feelings, if all your thoughts, if all your philosophies and your ideas have worked, would you be here? Would you be here? Remember the psychic change? Remember Dr. Silkworth? Remember what Dr. Young said? That he had absolutely nothing for us? That he tried desperately to fix this man and he wasn't able to do that? That only one changed him, a spiritual experience. So how scary it is to let go of everything that you think you know. Stop controlling, stop directing. It's not easy. But until you do that, I'm going to repeat this. If you keep on doing the same thing, expecting different results, you're going to remain stuck where you're at for a long, long time. And it's painful. It's very painful. I've been there many times. Because I thought I could outsmart the program. I could outsmart you. I could outsmart my sponsor. I could outsmart me. The result was nil until we let go absolutely. What I'm going to invite you to do today is to let go absolutely. That's what the third step is all about. Let go absolutely. Doesn't matter how. Just let go absolutely. If you have tried an easier and softer way, I have. And I relapsed. And I lost everything in my life. And I wanted to commit suicide and all the goodies, man. I lost my career, 2 marriages, on and on and on and on. If there's any relapsers here, there's a reason why we relapse. And the reason is because we thought we could find an easier, softer way. But we could not. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. How does that make you feel? Be honest. Is there resistance there yet? Because if there is, in your 4-step, I highly encourage you to write a 4-step about God and go at it hard. Because according to this book, the only solution, the only relief, the only transformation will come from a reliance upon a higher power, God. Not your sponsor, not your husband, not your wife, not your children, not your employer. God. If you're a woman, how about when that Prince Charming shows up in your life? All your problems are solved. Finally found somebody that loves me for who I am. He's going to be able to provide whatever I've been missing all my life. How's that worked for you? As a man, same thing happens to a woman. We ask his protection, and okay, half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We had his protection and care with complete abandon. Complete abandon. What does that mean? What does that mean? Complete. Not half-ass. Not sometimes. Complete abandon. Hurting. In pain. In anxiety. In doubt. Doesn't matter. How do you do that with your life every day? Here are the steps we took, which I suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could have restored us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Remember the word turn. I'm going to talk a lot about that at the end of the meeting. Turn. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. The way that it was written, it was, we are entirely willing to have God remove all these defects of character. Number 7, humbly on our knees, asking to remove our shortcomings, holding nothing back. That's how it was written by Bill before the 100s changed it. Made a list of all persons we had harmed that became willing to make complete amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Having had a spiritual experience as the result of this course of action, we try to carry this message to others, especially alcoholics, and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. You may exclaim, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We're not saints. The point is that we're willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. How does this apply to us every day? We feel fear. We feel doubt. We feel shame. If we don't feel good, we start doubting the efficiency or the willingness that we have to work the program, because we're striving to be perfect. Why are we striving to be perfect? Because we don't like pain, guys. We don't like doubt. We don't like uncertainty. We don't like hard. We like easy. We like pleasure. That's what we like. Isn't that one of the reasons you used? How do you deal with pain? How do you deal with criticism? How do you deal with rejection? How do you deal with fear? Isn't that what we numbed when we were using? A lot of those feelings are what makes us human. So this is bad news maybe for some. Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 Steps, this book, will never take away your humanity. You will never be perfect. You will never, ever feel pain. That's a lie. Fear will still remain in your life. It doesn't have to control you, because you will never be perfect. So get that stuff out of your brain, out of your system. That if you're not perfect and you don't feel like you're hand in hand with the power of God and that you are in bliss every day, there's something wrong in your life or something wrong with you. That's a Disneyland story. That's a fairy tale. There's days that you're going to feel like that. There's going to be moments of complete bliss, but there are going to be moments of a lot of fear and a lot of pain and a lot of problems. Does that mean you're not working your program? Does that mean that life is not worth living? No, that does mean that you don't like pain. That means that you just don't like discomfort. That you're a junkie for pleasure, man. For easy shortcuts. Isn't that what we took all our lives? Shortcuts? I need to feel good now. You need to save my life now. I need to find some relief now. And sometimes drugs and alcohol were perfect. Why? How about Valium, man? If you take enough Valium, do you think your anxiety is going to last? No. If you're lazy, enough Coke will get you moving. If you want to forget, enough alcohol will make and take you to oblivion. Weren't they perfect sometimes? Didn't they do the trick? Have you seen those guys on the news nowadays with fentanyl? I feel for those guys, man, because they want to numb everything that they feel because they cannot deal with reality. They cannot deal with feelings, with pain, with fear, with anxiety. I did the same thing as those guys. I just didn't use that fentanyl thing. It wasn't around my time. So we have to get out of our minds that this program is going to take us to perfection. That does not exist. Some days are going to be good, some days are going to be bad. That's life. Extend some love, some courtesy, some compassion to you. Give yourself a break. It's not such a thing as perfection. We all live in fear sometimes. We all live in pain sometimes. We all get angry sometimes. We all make mistakes. We all fail. We all succeed. Perfection has to be taken away from our vocabulary, man. Because that's what makes us suffer greatly. Okay, here we go. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. This is very, very important. If these 3 ideas you cannot buy yet, if you cannot subscribe to what these 3 letters say, don't do the 3rd step according to what the book says. Go back and reread the book. Or as Beat said it at the beginning when he wrote this first edition, reread the whole book or throw it away. But these 3 things is what we have drilled into our brains for the last 8 or 9 weeks that we've been together. I hope they're clear by now. A, that we were alcoholics and could not manage our own lives. How true is that of yourself? That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. Who has been able to do that? Has anybody been able to love you enough to take away the malady altogether? Has your sponsor been able to give you the words that took away the pain for real, forever? Can AA heal you? The meetings in AA. For you and us codependents, how much do we drain people? We're like vampires, man. We suck the life right out of them, man. Loving us is very, very expensive. Because there is nothing that you can do to fill me up. Nothing. Because of something that we're going to talk about later on. So do you believe that there's somebody out there that can save your life? Do you think that there's anybody else's responsibility to save your life but yours? Nobody's going to come to save you. Nadie. Nada. No hay.
That sucks. The worst.
Yeah. However, it says that God could and would if he was thought. So there's someone that can do all that. So it does not have to suck. But are you willing to give it a shot? Are you willing to give it a try? Are you willing to give yourself utterly to him? Completely abandon yourself to that. Set aside your ideas. Let the spirit of the universe change you inside and out. Do you believe that he can do that, or it can do that? Because if you don't, then the third step that you're going to do today, just give yourself to the rest of this workshop. That's what I did. The first time I did the third step, I couldn't fathom a power that can change my life. So I gave my life over to the care of BPA. And I did the homeworks, and I did my steps, and I did everything with fury, man, with desperation. And guess what? I found God in the way. But in the third step, I wasn't able to. So if it's not God that you believe is going to be able to heal you, believe in AA, believe in BPA, believe in these 12 steps. And on the way will appear. But you have to walk it. And it says, if you are convinced of this pertinent ideas, views, or issues, you ought to, if you're not, you ought to reread the book to this point, or else throw it away. If you are convinced, then you are at step 3. That's what Bill wrote. They took that away, but that's what he wrote. If you didn't get it until now, the powerlessness, the manageability, the need for God, the chaos of your life. Being convinced we were at step 3. It's the first time the book talks about a step. Which is that we decided to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God as we understood it. Just what do we mean by that? And just what do we do? Okay, Oliver, what the hell do I do? The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Do you think that? Or do you still think you can on your own? That you can try really hard, harder than you did before? How true is that statement for you in your life? On that basis, we're almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. Most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show. And I'm going to read this in first person, and this is what the homework was all about. I'll send you this at the end of the meeting. But ask yourself if this is not how you live your life. Be honest with yourself. Oliver is like an actor who wants to run the whole show. I am forever trying to arrange the lights, the valet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in my own way. If my arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as I wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including myself, would be pleased. Right? Why don't you do it my way? Can you see I'm right? Life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, I may be sometimes quite virtuous. I may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, I may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But as with most humans, I am more likely to have varied traits. What usually happens in my life, the show doesn't come off very well. I begin to think life doesn't treat me well. I decide to exert myself more. I become on the next occasion still more demanding or gracious as the case may be. Still the place does not suit me. At meeting I may be somewhat at fault. I am sure that other people are most likely to be blamed. I become angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is my basic trouble? Am I not really a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? Have I not been the victim of the delusion that I can force satisfaction and happiness out of this world if I only manage well? Am I not evidence to all the rest of the players that these are the things I want? And do not my actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Am I not, even in my best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Can you see yourself there? How confused is your wife? How confused is your husband? How confused are your children, man? And in the morning, you're the greatest dad. In the afternoon, you're an ogre. Some days you work really hard, and some days you can't get off the couch. That some days you're loving, and some days you're cranky. Isn't it living with you very confusing sometimes? Aren't you in your best moments? When you service people, when you love people, don't do it because you want to get out of it, something out of it. Remember what I told you about the difference of codependency and service. Service is to serve for the pleasure of serving. Codependency is loving and serving with my agenda. If I love you, I'll get something out of you. If I do for you, you will owe me and I will get something in return. How do you love? How do you help? How do you help around your house? When you wash your dishes, you keep that count. So next time that they ask you to wash the dishes again, you can't throw it in the head and say, listen, man, I've been washing dishes for a week. It's your turn. And how do you serve? This described me very well. It's very accurate. And this is the reason, the biggest reason I suffer. This is when I live in this world like this, I am miserable. Because it's all about me. As long as you love me as I want you to love me, I'm going to be okay. As long as my outside changes, my insides are going to be okay. As long as I am able to build that project and I see the project working as I want the project to work, I'll be okay. How about meetings, guys? How much do you criticize people in the meetings because you don't like their shares? Because you don't like what they say or how they come across, or because it doesn't fit your bill? But who suffers? Him that is sharing, or you in your chair? When somebody disrespects you, who's suffering, him or you? And is he truly disrespecting you? Or is he talking to your shadow? You see, there's a lot in here. So you're going to read this every day for 7 days to different people. And when you write it, when you read it, think about it in your life. I mean, am I this? Or if you don't find yourself in this reading, don't read it. If you think you're not like this, don't do it. It's not for you. But if you find yourself there, do it. And realize why we are stuck in life, why we are powerless in life, how is our manageability in our lives. We have to do something. God is going to help us, but we have to do some work. Right? We can't sit on our ass and do nothing and just wait for the miracle to happen or to work. There has to be some self-control there, some ethic, some willingness. I am self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. I am like a retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter, complaining of the sad state of the nation. The ministers who sighs over the sins of the 20th century. Politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. The odd law safecracker who thinks society has wronged him, and the alcoholic who has lost it all and is locked up. Whatever our protestations, aren't not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, our own self-pity? How long did you think about you today? How much time did you dedicate today to anything other than what you wanted to accomplish for you? Did something hurt? Did you feel some pain, some resentment, some fear? Why am I feeling these? Why can't I get off the couch? Why I can't stop eating? Wait a minute. It's all about me. Me. All day long is about me. I'm talking about me. I can see myself there, amazingly. And when life doesn't treat me well, what happens to me? I go into self-pity, man. And the sessions, every time they get longer, man. And I stay in my victim persona and I self-pity the shit out of my day and poor me. Till pour me another one. Or I want to die, or why? Because the show is not coming out the way that I want the show to be. Here we go. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity, we step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Read that over and over again. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, self-pity. Why are we so selfish? Why are we so self-centered? I'm going to invite you to consider this. You don't have a choice. You know why? Because you deal with the spiritual malady every day that you have untreated alcoholism. Because that voice that tells you that there's something wrong with you, and that feeling that compels you to stay frozen, that thing that forces you to self-loathe, to live in fear, it's real. Isn't it real in your life? Isn't that as familiar as your breath? Isn't that how you have lived most of your life? In any area of your life. I'm not talking just about being sober. In your work, in your relationships. So I invite you to consider this. That's your condition. That emptiness, you have to think, or you think you have to think about you all day long because you need to fill that void. So out of necessity, we have become selfish and self-centered. For us, it's our default to think about us. Because we feel empty. Because we live in the spiritual malady. When does that selfishness go away? Can you get rid of selfishness just by wishing it away? Can you just wish to be nice? Why don't you play nice every day? Have you been able to do that? To be nice, courteous, compassionate, loving? Why is it so difficult for you and for me? I invite you to consider that that's because of your disease, because of your spiritual malady, because that void that you were born with. It's not your fault. Today you're seeing it. And there's a lot of power in recognizing your truth. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to change it. To surrender it. To seek help. To stop fighting. Driven by 100 forms of fear. How afraid are you of life? Whatever that may be. There's always something. My future, my projects, my wife, I'm going to lose this, I'm going to lose that. Isn't that what drives your life? Isn't that what has driven your life always? And the decisions that you have made in regards to relationships with others are based on love or on fear. Self-preservation or leadership and love and plenty? How do you decide? How do you hold hostages people because you're so afraid of loving people, because you don't want them to hurt you, because hurting you, my God, that's going to bring me pain and I can't deal with pain? Isn't that our lives? That is my life. That's what I have come to realize, that I'm driven by 100 forms of fear. What are the ones that you feel? And how do you decide every day of your life? Do you feel the need to decide based on fear, based on faith? Which one is it? Sometimes they hurt us seemingly without provocation, but we invariably find that at some point in the past we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. This is the best promise and the biggest promise of the book. All of the whole book, this is the one. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. You created this mess. Nobody did this for you or to you. It's all you. You came into sand. How do you call that sand? That moving sand. And they told you don't move. Quicksand. That quicksand that you're stuck in. Don't move. We'll save you. I'll throw you a rope. You're going to come out. You haven't been able to stop moving. You did this to yourself. Isn't that a wonderful promise? Because if I create it, that means that I can fix it. Right? The world doesn't have to change in order for my life to be different. There's some power in that, ain't it? So it means that I'm suffering today because I created that stuff? Well, shit, yeah. Wow. Good. I thought that the world didn't love me, that I was good enough. All that stuff goes away. They arise of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible, and there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without his aid. You can't deal with selfishness, my man. It's your spirituality. It has the same power to you. One and the other is the same. They're both the same. But if you keep on thinking about you all day long and about what you lack and what you don't have and what it is you need to do, and you're going to die, according to this. If you keep on thinking about you, what you lack, what you need the world to do in order for you to be okay, it will kill you. Have you felt at some point in your life that you were killing yourself slowly, that you were drowning, that you couldn't get out of your own self, get out of your own way? I do. Many of us had moral and philosophical conviction galore, but we could not live up to them even though we would have liked to. Neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have God's help. How many of you think that you know everything, man? This guy knows the literature. I have read everything he has to do. I know it all, man. That's not my problem. I read books. I'm educated. And you're here. You're still struggling. We can't with our selfishness. We can't. I don't care how powerful or strong you feel or you think you are. You have proven it to yourself beyond a reasonable doubt that with this has you licked. Because it's not like you haven't tried it. Don't you want to play it nice? Be nice? Live a nice, beautiful, soft, amazing, joyful life? This is big, man. These pages are huge. This is describing my problem altogether, man. I don't have to go any other place but in these pages, and they are describing what Oliver has. Why it is that Oliver suffers. It's all here. Fear, selfishness, self-centeredness. Lack of commitment. Half-assing my life. Thinking that God is a commodity. That I don't have to be thorough, not only in this, in my life. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter, in this drama of life, God was going to be my director. He is my principal. I am his agent. He is my father, and I am his child. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arc through which we passed through freedom. What does the director do? What's an agent? If you're an insurance agent, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a banker, if you're an accountant, if you carry agency for anybody, you are representing them. Whatever you sign, whatever you compromise yourself to on their behalf, they are liable for, legally binding. You are the agent of God, a hollow bone, a conduit, a representative. How much power does that have? You that thought you were powerless, right now the book's telling you that you are very, very powerful indeed. Have you seen an arc? What's a keystone? It's the one that holds the arc together, right? Is he telling us that it's more meanings? He's telling us that it's my psychologist, my coach, my sponsor. What is the book telling me? God is everything. God is the keystone. Without God, there's no recovery. That's why it surprises me how atheists can walk through the 12 steps. I don't know any, but I know people that know them and they're sober. How do they do it? I don't know. So what you're going to be doing today is a keystone for the rest of your life. It's a keystone of the arc that we are all building here for you to pass through freedom. God was going to be your director, your principal, and your father. And here lies a big problem for a lot of people. If your father was an asshole to you, if your father abused you, if your father betrayed you, if your father harmed you in a way that it was very delicate and very deep and the trauma is still real in your life, it's going to be very hard for you to look at God as your father, because your father harmed you, betrayed you, abandoned you, and that has to heal. But it's true. That's something that we need to recognize. And finally, hopefully, with the help and the grace of God, finally we could probably forgive our fathers. And if you're a dad yourself, it's way easier to forget your father, because you have harmed your kids. Maybe not as much, maybe you didn't do that bad, but I guarantee you that your kid, when he grows older, is going to have a trauma that you caused. And I ask you, when you were causing that trauma, was that your intention? What makes you think that your father's intention was to harm you, to destroy your life? That's a realization. We'll go through that in the 5th step. But you see, in order to have a good and healthy relationship with the Father of the universe, if you choose to call him Father, there has to be a lot of healing in your heart. So if that word causes you grief, pain, discomfort, don't call him that. It doesn't matter. And maybe, just maybe, going forward in the steps, you will find forgiveness and you will find some healing. And then you can let your dad, your father, your daddy, your papa, like Pat calls him, take care of you, love you, bathe you with love. And finally, you will feel safe and protected. Wow. When we sincerely took such position, all sort of remarkable, these are the promises of the third step. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer, being all powerful. He provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. What does that mean? What does God want me to do? This is a very confusing topic. This is a very confusing line. What do you mean I'm going to feel great if I only do what he wants me to do? How in the hell am I going to know what he wants me to do? What is God's will? Isn't that where we get stuck? I really need to know what his will is. Is this his will or my will? Where does my will end and his start? What does that mean, perform his work well? I got stuck there for a long time. And I had a wonderful sponsor back then. His name is Jose. He's a pastor. Maybe some of you guys know it. He has a very deep spiritual connection with God. He's a very compassionate man. He has a really soft and beautiful heart. I used to tell him, Jose, I will give you an arm and a leg to know what God's will is, because I'm really confused. I don't have any direction. My compass is broken. My GPS does not work. I don't know what to do, where to go, how to feel, what to do. And he looked at me and just laughed. And laughed and laughed. And he said, what are you laughing at, man? I'm telling you something that is life and death for me, man. I need to know what God wants. Aren't you a pastor? Aren't you supposed to tell me what the hell to do in order for me to get close to God? And he said, and since that day, I have carried that in my heart. God's will is for you to live where you live, to love who you love, to dress what you dress, to eat what you eat, to be where you're at. The only problem and the only reason you can't hear his voice is because what he has gifted you every day you don't like. So you are in constant battle between what God is and what you want him to be. You have a beautiful family, you have a beautiful home, you turn on the water and it comes out hot, you have internet, you have gas, you have electricity, you have a car, you have a job, you are healthy. You have people that you are doing workshops with. You're a sponsor. People follow you. But for you, Oliver, that's not enough. So you tell me, what is God's will for you? So I ask you, want to know what God's will is in your life? Your life. There's nothing else. There's no rehearsal. This is it. This is the gift. This is the party. This is the show. So how do we have to perform his work well? Enjoy the gift. Be grateful for what you have. Accept whatever is happening in your life. Stop fighting it. Live your life with enthusiasm. I recommended a book at the beginning of this workshop. Many of you read it, The Surrender Experiment. One thing that this guy did is that whatever life threw at him, he did it with enthusiasm, with everything he got. That's performing God's work well. You see, I would never, ever, ever entertain the idea that I can judge what's good and bad in God's eyes. I don't know. I just know what the truth is in my life. And if my life is the way that my life is, it's because he has granted that life to me. Hence, I have to do the best that I can with the life that I was granted every day. That's performing his work well. So if you bitch and moan and complain all day long about your current situation, guess what? That's the will of God. You want to perform his will good or well, enjoy the hell out of your life, guys. We're free. We're healthy. We're sober. We have people that love us. Well, a lot of us have pets. I have 2 legs, 2 arms. I went playing golf today, man. I can still hit the ball pretty far. I have a job. I did it with my son. The United States and Mexico are winning the World Cup, man. I love it. I mean, you see, but that's my life. Now, a week ago, or 2-3 weeks ago, I was putting pause in one of my jobs. And I was very sad, and I cried, and I felt fear, and I was very confused. And I complained to God. Is that God's will? Is that performing His work well? He took it away for a reason. If you're a father and your son or your daughter is trying to harm themselves, are you going to allow that to happen? Maybe not. Your kid won't like it if you take away the toy, if you take away the gun, if you take away the candy, if you take whatever you take away from his hands, he's going to throw a tantrum. But you're protecting him. What makes us think that God does not do the same? You see, we're like little children. We're undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in this special way. Remember what we read every day? Step 11. Kept close to Him and performed His work well. Established in such a footing, we become less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more we become interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, a hollow bone, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of His presence, we began to lose fear, our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. Psychic change. A displacement of everything you think you know. God, please help me set aside everything I think I know for an open mind and a new experience. Let me be born again. Let me throw away everything I think I know. That I know has been killing me, but I'm too afraid of letting it go because I think I'm naked. Because I don't know what's in front of me. Because I know what misery is. I know what laziness brings. I know what self-pity brings. I know what big. I've been there all my life. So before doing the third step prayer, this is how I want you to. Will invite all of you guys to see this prayer like this, and I'm going to give you an analogy. Please bear with me. You notice the word turn. But turn. What does turn mean? You turn. Go in this direction, you turn to that direction. That's it. You're turning. So you see, you and I have lived going north. With the north in our brain, in our heart. We know that direction. In the north, there's addiction, there's misery, there's depression, there's control, there's illusions, there's defenses, there's codependency, there's lack, there is everything that we know so well. In the north, there's a lot of self-will. In the north, there's a lot of pretending that we're controlling life. There's a lot of lying, there's a lot of dishonesty. You see, we've been armoring ourselves for so long that we have forgotten who we truly are. That's our north. But you see, we are so comfortable with that armor. We are so comfortable protecting what we think needs to be protected that we feel comfortable keep on walking north. That's what your north is. We're building an ark. Right? We're building an arch today. The keystone is this step. That arch is, the book's telling us that it's promising us that it's going to be making us free man. We're going to be walking through that arc, through freedom. So what I'm going to invite you to do today with this prayer is just to turn south. Just turn south. What does turn south means? an entire psychic change, no reservations. How is that going to look? It's going to be messy. It's going to be scary. It's going to be uncertain. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be painful. But it's also going to be joyful, lovely, wonderful. You see, what I'm asking you to do is this. If you guys have ever gone to a desert in the middle of the day and you have walked in that overbearing heat, that if you stay under that heat for long, you feel like you're going to pass out. That's what's in the South for the time being. And I'm asking you to grab onto me, to my hand, and walk with me through that desert. And if you're afraid, keep on holding my hand stronger every time. And let me tell you what we're going to find on the other side of that desert. It's going to be hot. It's going to be scary. The nights are going to be very dark. The days are going to be very hot. There's going to be poisonous snakes. There's going to be all kinds of shit in the way. On the other side of that desert, you're going to find somebody. That somebody's you. Without any armor. Without no illusions. You're going to finally be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, man. You're okay. And we are going to realize when we're on that side that both of you and I were carried by the grace of God. It's going to be uncertain. It's going to be scary. It's going to be different. That's living in faith. We have this mistaken belief that the South, which means uncertainty, just because God is involved, is going to be easy. That's a lie. It's going to be very hard. Men of faith struggle. Men of faith have fear, but they overcome. So I'm inviting you to live a life of faith. That every time that you feel trapped, every time that you feel afraid, every time you feel lonely, every time you feel sad, keep on walking south. Hold my hand. God is carrying us both. He has enough water or stamina. He knows the way, guys. Let me, let your sponsor, let people that have done this work before hold your hand through the desert. And on the other side, we're going to meet you. You and you. That little kid that you had abandoned so long ago, that you have called him or her names, that you haven't let her cry, create, live, enjoy. You're going to be with her, with him. And finally, you're going to be able to love him and her with all you got. And throughout the whole road, God is going to be at our side. There's this thing that it's all over the internet. It's a drawing. It's called footprints. Have you seen that image? There's two people walking on the beach, but there's only one set of footprints. That's what we're going to see when we're on the other side of the desert. You will be carried always by those footprints until you can walk for yourself. So it's time to say the third step prayer. It's time for you to make a decision today to turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand God. What does that mean? That means that you're just going to turn some things to Him. That you can deal with your anger, with your depression, with your fear, with your procrastination, with your anxiety, with your... It's just a matter of applying yourself even harder in order for you to be able to, this time around, get rid of your disease. Does that sound familiar? Because that's not the third step. I'm going to read the prayer. You can do it standing, you can do it in kneeling, you can read it with me, you can do it however you want. Before I read this prayer, I'm going to read the last paragraph because I think that this needs to be written before. It says, we found it very desirable to take this spiritual step with an understanding person, such as our wife, best friend, or spiritual advisor. But it's better to meet God alone than with one who might misunderstand. The wording of this prayer, of course, quite optional so long as we express the idea, voicing it without reservation. It was only a beginning, though honestly humbly made, and in fact sometimes a very great one, was felt as once. So I'm going to read this prayer very slowly. You can close your eyes, you can keep your eyes open, you can do the prayer however you want, whatever is meaningful for you. We were now at step 3. Many of us said to our Creator, or Maker, as we understood Him, God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self,
that I may better do Thy will.
take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I will help of Thy power, Thy love, and Thy way of life. May I do Thy will always.
Amen.
What does that mean to you? Thank you, whomever was reading it with me. Relieve me of the bondage of self, overthinking, that fear, control, that I may better do Thy will. Remember what I told you about God's will today, please. God's will in your life is so apparent, so obvious. Anybody can see it, but you don't like it. That's why you're rejected. Thank all of you guys for your attention, for your kindness, for your grace, for your love.